So let's try to find the domain of f of g. Well, first of all, let's take a look at what this function looks like. F of g of x is equal to, well, we have to substitute g into our function f, and we get negative 10 divided by the square root of 5 minus x minus 4. So there's f of g. Now we want to find the domain. Now, the first thing we always do is we start by finding the domain of g. Okay, that's always where we start. So let's take a look at g. G is a square root function. To find the domain of a square root function, we must set the function under the radical greater than or equal to 0, and then we'll solve. So solving for x, we get 5 is greater than or equal to x, or x is less than or equal to 5. So the domain of g is negative infinity to 5, including the 5. Therefore, the domain of f composed of g is going to be a subset of this domain. All right, now let's take a look at our composite function. I see here that I have the square root of 5 minus x minus 4 in the denominator. Now we know that this expression can never equal 0. So what we're going to figure out is we're going to figure out if there are any values of x for which the square root of 5 minus x minus 4 is equal to 0. If we can find these values of x, then we are going to exclude those values from the domain of g, and that's going to be our domain of the composite function. So let's get a clean sheet of paper and we'll finish. All right, so again, we've figured out the domain of g, and now if we can solve this equation for x, we'll pull out those values from this domain, and that will finish the problem. So let's solve our equation for x. We can add 4 to both sides. To get rid of the square root, I can square each side. That gives us 5 minus x on the left is equal to 16. Okay? Subtract 5 from both sides. Negative x is equal to 11. And then divide both sides by negative 1. So x is equal to negative 11. Okay? That means we must exclude the value of negative 11 from the domain of g. So the domain of f of g is all real numbers less than or equal to 5. Okay? X is less than or equal to 5 such that x cannot equal negative 11. We have to pull that point out of the domain. So how do we write that? Well, let's maybe draw a picture. We have to exclude negative 11. Okay? So that is the interval, negative infinity to negative 11, not including negative 11, union with the points between negative 11 and 5 including. And so there is the domain of the composite function.